Recording in progress.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the, let's see what day is today, August 21st, Planning, Energy, and Environmental Quality Committee. And we have 4 legislators in the chamber. Greg Mezey has asked to be excused for today, so it'll just be the 4 of us. And plus we have some staff and Cornell guests here. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. So I know Kate wants to speak at public comment. Anybody else that we have that you know of? Okay. So Kate Supram from Cornell wanted to talk to us just a brief couple of minutes, talked about some updates. So I'll let you take it away, what your topic is, Kate.
Thanks, Ann, and thanks for accommodating us, or me. I'll use the royal we, me this morning. I just wanted to come and give an update to this committee. I know that the proposal has passed and moved from here to the full legislature, but in the interim, since the last meeting, folks from Cornell, mainly Spring and I, have had some good conversations, working conversations with the subcommittee that had worked on this. We are currently in the spot that we're waiting to hear back from the county. Norma and I just checked in. I know Leo's working on the numbers that we requested. So we're waiting to hear back. We really appreciated our in-depth conversations with the subcommittee and would like the conversation to continue once we get the information. Norma had asked us for student data numbers, which we've provided. If there's anything else that you folks need, please just let me know and we'll try to get it to you. And that's it.
Okay, great. You were correct, Kate. Short and sweet. Anybody have any questions for Kate while she's here? Well, we appreciate you coming in, and I forgot to mention at the last legislature meeting, but we're going to let that resolution, sit for a little bit as negotiations and communications are still going on. So.
Is it I guess that's my other question. Since it's moved to the full ledge, is the subcommittee still the group we should be, I assume that's still the group we should be talking with, despite the fact that it's with the full legislature? Okay, all righty. Yeah, and like I say, if you all need anything from us, just let us know.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Okay, thanks. It's so much fun to go somewhere in person. I know I could have gotten on the Zoom, but, don't get to leave the house that often.
Brief but important comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And that concludes our public comment. Any changes to the agenda? I don't have any. Anybody else want to propose any? Okay. Why don't we, I forgot to mention, or I did say Greg's not coming. Okay, minutes approval. Would anybody like to move the minutes? These are from July 17th, moved by Susan, seconded by Veronica. Any questions, comments, edits? Okay, thanks to the clerks for doing those again. All right, all those in favor of passing the minutes? That's unanimous. Okay, we have some appointments. Let's see here. We have 2 advisory board appointments at the end of your agenda. One for Soil and Water Conservation District, George Trutt, a Grange member, and that expires December 31st, 2024. And we'll take these 2 together if that's okay. Climate and Sustainable Energy, that's the case board. Martha Robertson, member, term expires December 31st, 2024 also. Would someone like to move those? Veronica moves, seconded by Randy. All those in favor? Okay, great. That passes unanimously also. And chair's report, I'm going to leave that till later since we have staff right here. So next is Department of Planning. Are they, I see Katie there. Do you have any updates from your department, Katie?
No, I don't have anything to share today. Thanks, Annie.
Okay, moving right along. So we have lots of time for our next department, Recycling and Materials Management. And we have Kat and Leo here. And there's an information item, or I'm sorry, an information item is the grants update. Did you want to say anything about that or just see if anybody had questions?
I think we were kind of hoping just to update you on a few things.
Okay.
Because we're kind of getting our arms around them. go ahead, yeah.
Okay. Well, good morning, and first and foremost, thank you again for the consideration of the New York State P2I grant that came to the full legislature, I believe at the last meeting or earlier this month. We really appreciate considering that and the time, due to the time sensitivity of it, so that all the paperwork has been submitted for that reimbursement grant and is moving along. We also have been working on a couple other grants that we wanted to make sure we provided an update on, one of which was submitted in June, and I just want to acknowledge that we are kind of in that process of making sure that we're complying with policies and being aware of them. So I apologize that this didn't come forth earlier, but we wanted to bring that update to you so you're aware of the project and what was being proposed for it. This was a USDA application for composting and food waste reduction, and the USDA is in the review process right now, and we won't hear back until at least August 31st on that. The cost share required was 25% of the total federal share for the project. And the proposal included collaborating with partners like Friendship Donation Network, Tompkins Cortland Community College, their farm and culinary program, and the Cornell Waste Management Institute. And the components of the proposal just encompassed engaging commercial food generators for circularity in food systems, so developing new food waste prevention materials for a module with our Rebusiness Partners program, and engaging stakeholders to shape these materials, as well as developing and piloting prepared food donation and distribution. And then the second piece of it was enhancing composting operations and opportunities for utilization with growers. So thinking about like the on-farm composting, including a workshop for food producers and a summary video of that workshop, as well as on-site compost assistance to food producers and piloting a community composting collaborative at the farm. So the total proposed project budget was around $130,000. So we will keep you updated if we hear back on that one, but we wanted to make sure we shared that. We also, looking ahead on the horizon, it's time to look at our annual applications, and that's one where we've been made aware of that needs to come here as well. The New York State DEC offers a municipal waste reduction and recycling program for the 2024 year. So we're in the process of preparing a proposal for that grant application, and that basically between August and October we apply for this, and it supports recycling coordination, education, planning, and promotion projects. The applications are due in October, and then the period in which it would be awarded for would cover the 2024. Grant funds provide approximately 50% of the, it's a 50% reimbursement for activities that our department already does. So it's a really beneficial grant encompassing personnel costs for our education, outreach expenses, and other programmatic related expenditures.
I do have a question on that one. So is this a type of grant that it's annual? It's been happening for a while?
Yes. Historically, it's an annual grant, and actually, I can just speak to the fact the 2023 that's on for the resolution is basically the 2023 version that we had applied for, and I think we just were made aware that that particular one, when they're annual grants, should still be coming forward with resolution, so we'll be bringing those forward.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then the last one I just wanted to mention is we are also in the process of preparing an application, again through the DEC, for the Municipal Waste Reduction and Recycling Program, this time for a capital recycling project. We recently were made aware that we could potentially apply for the project of installing the single stream compactor at the Recycling and Solid Waste Center, and that may be eligible for reimbursement funding through this opportunity. So proposals are accepted on an ongoing basis, first come, first serve. So we are in the process of developing and submitting an application for that project to hopefully reimburse these past expenses as well. And I believe that concludes.
I wanted to ask a little more about the single stream compactor. I didn't know there was such a thing. So does that compact everything together, all the different materials, or after it's separated?
Yeah, so the single stream compactor, we installed that, I want to say toward, the fall of 2021, I think. What the singles, so we're a transfer facility for the most part with recycling anymore. What the single stream compactor did was it allowed us to get larger loads, heavier loads, and we ended up reducing from the first year to the second year. In the first year, we reduced our loads 209 trips or loads to Ontario County. So that was really the purpose of it, just more efficient transportation.
So you already have a single stream compactor. This is about getting a newer one?
Yeah, so, you know, again, I'd love to have folks over to the facility to see some of this stuff. I'm quite sure Randy had seen it.
I haven't. I would love to. I was listening
Yeah,
to everything you're saying. I would love to come and get a tour.
Love to have you. So really what this is if you picture a large box, that's the compactor itself. It's called a charging unit. Recyclables are loaded into this box that actually pushes or compacts the material into a trailer, an enclosed tractor trailer. So that's what holds the material. Yeah, and it's really quite a simple operation. Yeah.
And I believe it's reduced trips, right? So
I'm sorry?
it's been beneficial in reducing the number of trips, like
Oh, absolutely.
hauls
Yeah.
as well.
Like I said, 209 the first year we reduced. So.
Okay, I'll follow up with a tour, because I haven't been there in
Yeah, absolutely.
5 years.
Bring Norma with you.
And I
Norma
think,
wants to go? Okay.
I think part of the question was, are we getting a new one? And no, this is reimbursement for the investment that we've already made. So we've been made aware
okay.
that this could potentially fall under this grant category, and we could potentially get
Right.
reimbursement for
Okay.
a portion of those expenses.
And I mean, I don't know if this is a question for Norma, but it seems, I don't know if this happens with other departments, but that you're able to get reimbursement for things you're already doing. Is that kind of unique, do you know?
I can
I mean-
speak to just from our department's efforts. We try to align our grant applications with programs that are either already in our project plan or programs that, you know, we have been moving forward with, just so that we don't get creep in general. So a lot of times that's kind of where we align. I don't know if you want to speak to the rest of the.
I think it's a bit unique for this, or because of the type of work that you do. Yeah.
Well, to submit for capital equipment anyways, you know, you have to show all your proof of purchases and receipts and canceled checks and whatnot. So it's usually you would submit after the fact. Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions?
I actually, apologies for going back to your presentation or your talk about the recycling with farmers. I'm curious, how do you connect with the farm community to get feedback? I'm just interested in how you connect with them to get feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, you know, we're interested in expanding composting across the county and coming up with different strategies to engage people in different ways. Farms is certainly one of them. There's a number of organizations that we'll have communications with. So for the grant proposal itself, we're partnering with Tompkins Cortland Community College, which has the TC3 farm and does farm education. Cornell Waste Management Institute, I think, has a pretty broad network as well, because they're helping with the larger composting systems that are around the state. But then I've also reached out to like the Cornell Small Farms Program with their Beginning Farmer Project. I would anticipate that we might be reaching out to places like Groundswell to kind of engage with farmers in the community. We do the work with the Food Systems Plan, and I know Katie Hollis has connections as well. So we would be working across those groups to kind of engage people, to invite them to come, and also, as we're doing that, hear feedback.
So I'm wondering, because there is the Cornell Cooperative Extension Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board, which I'm on. It's new to me. It was fascinating. I'm amazed at the work that they're doing. Is that part, would they be someone you would connect with? Or are members of that already part of organizations?
Potentially. I believe Graham was another one at Cooperative Extension that I had reached out to as we were thinking about this, just of how can we get the word out and engage people. So certainly, I don't know if the board specifically, but I think the intent of this project was to make sure that people were aware of this potential new resource and engage kind of where they are.
Sounds like a great project. Thank you for working on it.
Yeah, those types of things are going to position us well as we get moving on implementing a lot of the strategies with the solid waste management plan. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for all the innovative programs you're doing and going after the grants. So, win-win. Any other comments that you folks had or
Can I
questions?
ask a question?
Yeah,
Just-
sure.
So with the grants, I know you said this was part of your plan. Is there any new local funding that is needed to support any of these grant applications? Is there any part of this that's coming out of local funds that has to, as a match, that has not been already budgeted in your?
There would be, yes. Yes.
There are new funds that need to be budgeted in.
Because you're talking, yeah, and so I don't know, you're talking about like things you're already doing. So are those things already budgeted for? Because you're talking about, say, for instance, the 25% local match. So is that new monies? If you get that grant, do we need to, is that what you're asking? Do we need to come
Yeah.
up with a new 25% that your department didn't budget for? Or is it not because you're already doing these programs?
Well, we're doing a lot of the programs, so, you know, I would refer to a lot of the stuff as like kind of tuck-in work, if you will. I would have to look at the budget to see exactly of those 2 grants that we mentioned, what was budgeted for and what may not be budgeted for.
Okay, sounds
Yeah.
like to get back to
Yeah,
Norma,
could you
if they're, okay. Good question.
Sorry, didn't you mention 3 grants, though? The reimbursement for the single stream compactor, which presumably doesn't require any more money, and the DEC waste reduction and recycling annual thing, which you said is stuff you're already doing, and then the USDA one for the food waste, which I hope you get. Is that one where possibly new local money would need to be budgeted if you win it?
I believe so, yes,
Yes,
just
the
the
USDA.
USDA, yeah.
Thanks for clarifying.
Thank you.
Just lastly on grants too, Kat and I had the opportunity to talk one-on-one with that 11th Hour. That's the organization that was hired for assisting departments and there's consulting.
With grants, looking at grants?
Yeah. And we had a great conversation with Gina. Was it Gina Williams?
Yes.
Yeah.
I talked with her.
Yeah,
yeah.
we had really good, valuable discussion with Gina, so I would hope other departments take advantage of that service, yeah.
Great. Anything else on that topic? Okay. Next, you have the acceptance, it's the resolution on package page 8, acceptance of grant funding for the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Municipal Waste Reduction and Recycling Program. Talking about grants. Would anybody like to move that? Veronica, seconded by Randy. Anything you want to say about this, or is this?
This is the New York State DEC Municipal Waste Reduction and Recycling for the program education outreach component for this year's expenditures. So it's similar to the one I had mentioned for 2024, but it'll cover this year and provide us some reimbursement for expenses that were already budgeted for this year.
Great. Randy?
So this is money we've already received?
We recently, over the summer, received the award, so we're just looking to make sure that we follow the appropriate process to continue it forward.
And this is in your budget for revenue for this year? Or?
Yes. I believe. So the way I understand it is when a voucher is done, when we're notified by the DEC, and the voucher, once the voucher is created, then the money is booked in the year that the voucher is created.
Okay.
So, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Next one is an information item. Let's see, packet page 10. Would you like to talk about that?
So you may or may not be aware, but as a component of the New York State paper bag fee, a portion of the funds come back to the department to buy reusable bags to distribute to fixed and low-income communities in the county. So we wanted to bring forward and just update you a little bit on the project and how things have been going. Since 2020, we've distributed over 12,000 reusable bags through partner agencies and networks to support underserved populations. And so we are in the process now of continuing to expand that process. Primarily, we had worked with food pantries and other agencies, and we've recently developed materials that we've shared more widely with additional agencies to let them know about the availability of bags, set a 100 bag per entity limit with the idea that we're reaching more people throughout the community and really distributing these bags widely. In addition to that, we've recently added some messaging materials as well to kind of reinforce that, hey, these are really great and reusable, and don't forget to bring them back, because I know everybody forgets their bags sometimes. So really just emphasizing that messaging to support additional reuse of these bags. This particular brand was purchased because it has a high recyclable content. They're durable, they can hold up to 40 pounds, and according to the manufacturer, can be reused over 1,500 times. So really great impact in replacing single-use bags in that respect. So we just wanted to share that little bit of update. It's been very popular so far as the request. I put out the notification last week and have already gotten quite a few requests for getting these bags out to other areas of the community.
Questions? I have one. So so you talked about kind of like almost another level of organizations. Can you give me an example?
Yeah, so we reached out to quite a few of the food pantries, but also on our list were groups, I'm trying to think, like the Advocacy Center or other places that we know, low-income housing maybe, where we know they're serving populations that meet the intent of the law in order to expand. So I believe there is a list of about 50 entities that I emailed to say, these bags are available if you'd like, request.
Yeah, Barbara Ekstrom gave me a couple of bags to try out, and they are really, really sturdy, where other bags, they really can hold like at least 40 pounds. I've probably put more than that in there. And one of the cool things about it, if you forget bags, you can, they're like the Chico bags, I don't remember the Chico bags, you can fold them inside, there's a little pocket, and fold it into this little pocket, and it's got a little carabiner in there, and you could attach it to your purse or bag or your belt loop or whatever, or somewhere inside your car. So they're really small, and you just take a bunch with you. So really great bags. I remember talking with Barbara when they were getting them about a good size, and yeah, because some of the Chico bags they came out with were really small, and those are really heavy duty, and they can go over your shoulder. The loop is big, so really functional bags you found. And I've been hearing a lot of good things talking with people at the food pantries. They really like the bags. And folks know what that's from, right? It's in the memo about where that money comes from. Okay, great. Next topic. Let's see. Budget adjustment, packet page 11, providing, let's see. Oh, that's just the budget adjustment to do that, but we need to pass that. Okay, so this is the Budget Adjustment Department of Recycling and Materials Management providing for the purchase of reusable bags. Would somebody like to put this on the floor? Susan, and seconded by Veronica. I think probably, is there anything else you want to say?
This is just regarding the funds that would have come in from last year. As the budget kind of gets settled out, we've identified how many funds are remaining from last year, and since these need to be earmarked specifically for the bags, we're just requesting that the money moves forward so that we can continue to buy bags using the money dedicated for it.
Okay. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. And next is an update on rethinking waste in Tompkins County, fostering a local circular economy. We just have a blank page for that, so is there something you wanted to update us on?
Yeah, we just wanted to share a brief update on kind of the status of where the draft plan currently sits. We opened it up for public comment at the end of June. We had a public meeting in early July. We had the presentation at the legislature in early August, and then August 7th, our public comment period closed. We wanted to share that we've received quite a few comments, which was what we were aiming for. We really wanted a transparent process and to provide the community the opportunity to engage. We heard from over 35 people in written comments, and they ranged from receiving just a line all the way up to 15 plus pages of feedback. The comments came from individuals, but they also came from groups in the community, which we had anticipated. And we're really happy with the breadth of the comments. They range from topics like biosolids to community engagement to reuse and more. And with that, we are in the process of developing a responsiveness summary. So we will take all substantive comments, put them into a component for the plan, and then respond to those as appropriate based on that. That process, we're hoping, will take a month or so to go through all those comments, put them together. That responsiveness summary then becomes incorporated into the draft plan. Any edits will be made, you know, if anything's been raised that we need to make adjustments for, typos, for example. We'll incorporate those, and then the draft goes to the New York State DEC for their review, which can take 3 to 4 months. Along with that, we'll be sending the seeker paperwork through to make sure that we're compliant with that aspect of the project. Do you want to add anything?
I think the only thing that we were somewhat teetering on was, you know, who in the county may, you know, want to see more of the document prior to it going to the DEC. Does the committee have any thoughts on that?
Sorry, can you say that again?
All right, I'm sorry. So,
My bad.
this draft resolution with the comments, and those will be going to the DEC. And so, is there anybody that you think should see any of that prior to it going to the DEC?
I would like to see it come to this committee.
Very interested in seeing it.
I know that the legislature had asked, you know, for that presentation. So when you're saying, so you have the written comments, you're going to develop the responsiveness summary. And is that the summary of of those comments? Does it also include any response, actual response, or changes that you've then made to the draft?
Yes.
Okay, so that'll be a change in what you've already submitted. So, Randy?
Yes, you know, I read through the report, and it was very well done, I thought, and really important. But my question is, I know that we shared that the colleges could also submit their responses. Have we gotten any responses from any of the colleges, or?
Have Ithaca College and Cornell. True. An individual that works there, yes.
Great.
Not in her capacity at Cornell. Yeah.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, the process following the DEC review is the DEC shares the feedback with us. We incorporate any of their comments, and then before it's finalized, it would definitely come to Peak and the legislature.
So it already will.
Just in case that helps you with your.
Yeah. So sorry, you might have said this, but the response you're developing now before that's going to be sent to DEC, is that also going to be made public for?
I believe we discussed posting that on our website.
Yeah, so
just because I can imagine that being appreciated by community members,
Certainly, yes.
and to tease out your feedback from whatever the DEC might say.
Yeah, so I think, we were a little confused as to, how that document needed to kind of proceed from where we are with it as far as committee or any other officials. So we were kind of just hoping to feel you out a little bit on that.
You're trying to figure that also. I was taking some notes when you said, Kat, that something has to go through peak and legislature anyway. What part has to do that?
So once the comments are received from the DEC, assuming that they're not substantial, then the next point in the process would be to incorporate those comments into the plan and then present the plan to peak and then the legislature for final approval locally.
Okay.
That documentation then goes to the DEC, and that's the point in which the plan has been fully adopted. But I just wanted to clarify that there will be one more opportunity after the DEC provides comment. You may want to see it before it goes. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm thinking for now, the next step before that. So the next step is the responsiveness. I'm thinking I would want you to come to this committee, but also the legislature, because this is just such a big deal that we're doing. So I don't know if administration wants to weigh in. I know it's more work for you, so I'm not sure, but that's what I'm leaning towards.
Can I clarify, do you want them to come to this committee in the legislature for approval of what they're sending to the DEC, or simply to inform us? I'd like to be informed. My
Right,
instinct is
informed.
don't necessarily need to approve until the post-DEC.
Right, but just to come to inform us, right. But what do you think, Norma? Because this is extra work for them, and
Yeah, I don't know to the extent of extra work it's going to be to bring that forward as a,
But we just want to make sure we're doing it right. And
like you're informing, if you would inform us, and then also do the same thing, maybe even more pared down for the legislature? Like, what do you guys?
I think we could do
the
that.
general changes, yeah.
And I expect monthly we'll give some sort of an update on where we are with the solid waste management plan.
And I think it helps inform, for even, I know some people want to know, but for what I'm thinking as far as legislators, then it informs everybody anyway, because this is really, I think, really important for the county.
Yep.
All right, any other questions, comments?
I've got, if we're all set with that, I've got one other update I'd like to give. Let's see, so the Hillview Road Advisory Committee, back, I want to say, in the winter, had developed a resolution and asked us to test some wells and leachate at Hillview Road landfill.
For PFAS?
For PFAS,
Yep.
yes. We did receive a memo from Barton LaJudas with the results of that testing. So I wanted to just make sure that committee knew we received those results. They were pretty much as expected. PFAS was detected in the leachate. There was 2 groundwater wells tested at the site. A shallow well found no detection of any PFAS. The deep well did show some levels of contamination. What we'll be doing from here is we'll send the Hillview Road Committee those results in that memo. And we also will be notifying the wastewater treatment plant that there was some PFAS detected in the leachate. We got this memo last week, so we haven't given an awful lot of thought or had discussion or heard from any comments from Hillview Road advisories. So that's what I've got right now.
You said you're sending the results to
The Hillview
The
Road
Hillville Road Committee, so they haven't
Advisory Committee.
they
Yeah,
haven't been sent there yet.
it has not. We thought we'd just update you folks, and we intend to send that to them this afternoon.
Okay. And then could you send that memo or just include it in the next legislature or peak meeting, just so then because I know for F&I, when they're testing the wells around the airport, they come once in a while, and so then that becomes a record in case anybody wants to look it up easily. If that's,
Yep, yes,
Okay.
we
Okay.
will do that.
Andy and then Veronica?
I was just curious, how deep are the two wells, do you know?
I don't, without having it right in front of me, Randy. Barton LaJudas and Nate Bates oversees that program. They worked with Hillview Advisory just to kind of determine which wells to test up there. Yeah,
But when you bring that information forward,
Yeah, I mean, that
maybe next month,
information-
then we'll have it to look at.
yeah,
It will be
yeah.
easier.
We'll make sure that that's included in the report.
Do you have any sense of how these contamination levels compare to other similar landfills?
Yes, lower levels. In the leachate, they were lower than others that had been tested. The deep well groundwater, that was determined also to be at a lower level and shouldn't require any more testing, yeah. Or at least not right away.
Thank you.
And are these wells at the landfill, or are these residential wells?
These are landfill.
The ones
Yep.
that were made to test? Okay.
Yes.
And where's the water sent, the leachate? You said you're going to notify the wastewater treatment plant that accepts them.
Who's it going to be sent to?
Well, you said you're going to notify because the leachate is sent to a wastewater treatment center, so you said you're going to notify them.
Yes.
Who takes the water then? Which wastewater treatment center?
Sorry, Ithaca.
Oh, Ithaca takes them,
Yep.
okay.
Yep, they take our leachate from both Caswell and Hillview.
Okay. All right, thank you. And we have a couple other things here. Budget transfer and capital summary. Did you want to say anything about it, or just see if there was any questions?
Yeah, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Did I miss something?
Oh, we never talk about this stuff, do we?
We do if people have questions. Yeah. If we have time, I always make sure if someone has a question on a capital summary, sometimes people have questions on them. Okay. All right, I think that's it, unless you guys have anything else. Thank you for coming
I think I
today.
have plenty.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And then next, we have some par form to go over. Are you going to normally be going over few of these today, right? Yep. Okay, so these are packet page 18.
So, yeah, don't leave, because these are your par forms, Leo. You have two of these par forms are yours.
Better stick around.
Yeah, please don't leave.
I was just stretching my legs.
Lock the door.
Yeah, so the first one, we'll just take them, you have them in your packets, right? Yeah, so it's labeled 8160 RSWC infrastructure, and there's two of them that have very similar names. One is supported by ARPA funds, and the other is a bonded project. So there's two distinct projects, because you can't have a bond on an ARPA-related project. So we're going to talk about the ARPA one first. Leo, do you want to give a little overview of that project, of where that is?
ARPA one, yes.
Yep.
So we've got 2 years left on that.
So which one is that?
8160 RSWC infrastructure and then dash ARP. Should be the first one in your packet.
First one, okay.
There it is, sorry.
Full site paving project.
Yeah. So we completed that site paving last year, 2022. We are running behind schedule, or at least where I'd like to be for our 2023 project. We are planning for this to go out to bid sometime in September. So what we're planning on doing, we have push wall repairs that need to be made at the recycling solid waste center. We are also repairing some of the floor there. What you would see if you, well, what you will see when you come over and get your tour, you'll see where concrete wears down, whether it's the floor itself or the push wall, just from the activity, the twisting and turning of equipment. And, over the years, I mean, that concrete can wear down, 1.5 inches, 2 inches and starts hitting re-rod. So we will be repairing that stuff. We also have plans in our bid to upgrade the bathroom facilities, shower rooms, offices, break rooms over at the recycling solid waste center. The entrance vestibule, it's all glass. It's original to the building. We have a lot of issues with, leaks with that. So we do plan to remove that and replace it pretty much with the same look is what it is right now. And that was it for 2023. Projects for 2024. We have in here general facility repairs. Included in that is gutters all the way around the building. And usually as we're finishing up with, for instance, 2023's repairs, we can easily or better identify, what needs to be done in 2024. I believe we have one overhead door that's still original to the building as well that we'll be replacing. And then as well as the household hazardous waste building. That's a building at the facility that we quite often forget about because we use it six weeks a year for the most part. So we want to make sure that we're getting things updated with that building as well.
Did you say removal of that building or?
I'm sorry?
For the hazardous waste building, removal or update?
Oh, no, just updates.
Update,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, repair any damaged siding, could include, just painting. Again, there's a restroom over there that's original to that site. So, yeah.
I just wanted to add, if I could, so when you're looking at the budget on these PAR forms, the expense categories, of course, are broken down by what you've traditionally seen on the PAR forms, whether it's design or construction and equipment and such. But when you're looking at the revenues, particularly in this case, other federal revenues is, of course, the ARPA funds, and the appropriated fund balance is the fund balance that the solid waste division has of their own. It's not coming out of the general fund balance. And I think it's really important to remember that the fees that they collect support that fund balance, and they do have a target fund balance that they have to maintain. So when we're talking about fees, we need to make sure that they have enough revenue coming into the organization to continue to maintain these funds. Oh, and I'm sorry, one more thing. LTD is live to date, so that just means what they've spent to date. That's usually a question.
Thank you.
I was just thinking that, thank you.
Say live today?
Live today.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think the only other thing I would add to is that the ARPA funding won't pay for engineering, any design or planning. So any of those costs that we have in this project, the engineering work or costs are reflected in the other project, recycling solid waste upgrades.
On to that if there's no other questions. Okay. So the second PAR form that we've submitted is 8161, the RSWC upgrades 2021 through 2025.
Back at page 20.
20, yeah. This is the balance of the project. These are the portions that are unable to be covered by ARPA funds and are both bonded and covered by the solid waste fund balance. And you can, if you want to provide more detail to that.
Yep, so you can see in 2021, this is where we installed this single stream compactor. And that was the year that we restructured the contract with Casella. 2023, we don't have any actual physical construction at the facility, but we are working to plan and design and bid for those projects in 2024. One of the things that we've been wanting to do for a number of years is kind of combine our organics materials, if you will, into one area. We have a food scraps transfer building, that was built a few years back. We also have a yard waste area that we believe is in kind of a bad spot. One, we want to move that yard waste area to make that area safer and more convenient, but we also want to put it in the same location as the food scraps area or adjacent to. I think we can get clever operationally to reduce some cost of primarily transportation. With that material. When you ship yard waste, you ship light loads. When you ship food scraps to Cuga compost, you ship heavier loads. It's a very wet waste. It's very difficult to transfer that material. So in the summer months, lots of times we'll mix food scraps with yard waste chips to just bulk up that material in the load, and it just makes it easier for transportation. But, long story short, we kind of have some visions of processing the yard waste on site where we can then mix that into food scraps as a bulking agent and reduce loads of material going to Cuga compost. So there's kind of a strategy, operational strategy with all that movement of material. So
that's pretty cool that you could, if they were adjacent to each other, you could have a chipper that chips up the organic yard waste.
Yep.
And then have the other stuff right there next door.
Yeah, it's Cuga compost refers to it as a recipe. So, a certain amount of yard waste mixed with a certain amount of food scraps.
Huh. Like my compost at home, yeah.
Yeah, and when it's delivered up there, it'll just go directly to the end of a windrow, and it reduces their expenses, which will hopefully ultimately reduce ours.
Oh, so they're already processing it up there?
They do.
So you're doing the processing before? Yep. Any questions? Randy?
Yeah, Norma, you touched on this. So just for clarification, so the Thompson County Recycling and Materials Management is really a separate financial entity.
Correct.
Right. Mm-hmm. So all the fees that are collected and whether revenues all go into that entity, and no county funds support the program,
That is correct, yes.
unless there's some special thing, right?
That's right. This is very similar to the airports, where they are supposed to be self-sufficient within their enterprise funds. The same is true with the solid waste department. Yep,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anything else? Okay. I think that's all, Norma, for them?
Yes.
For today.
Now
Thank you very
really can
much.
get up.
Thanks, Leo and Kat.
Thank you.
We've got Katie and Joan on for these next couple. The next one, let me see
Okay.
if I can get this right, Annie. Packet page 22.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 87.46 aquifer study. There's Katie and Joan, and they can tell you, they did give me a better picture. I'm going to fix this picture that's on this PAR form. This was just one that we had in our website, our coffers, so, but we'll repair that. Anyway, do you want to give an update? I'm not sure which, Katie or Joan, the aquifer study?
Sure, I'll start and Joan can chime in if I get anything wrong. First of all, it's hard to find a great photo of an aquifer study, so I don't blame you for that one, Norma. This is a project that's been going on for 20 years now. It's a partnership with municipalities and USGS and the county all chipping in to better understand our groundwater resources and our aquifers. The program has completed 6 aquifer studies so far, and there is one in progress, Lower Fall Creek Aquifer. It's going to be wrapping up in 2024 with the last payment anticipated from the program, and it usually takes about a year for it to be finalized, so expect that the whole program will wrap up in 2025.
Any questions? Randy?
Yes, thank you. Where does the information for the study so far of the aquifers, where does that live?
It lives, Darby Kiley's the program manager, so whenever someone has a question about the aquifers, they contact her. We have it on our server, but also the municipalities and obviously USGS have final copies as well.
Okay, thank you.
Joan, I saw you unmuted yourself. Did you want to add something?
Oftentimes, the easiest place to find them is at the USGS site. If you go to their sort of library page and you type in the creek name, it pops right up. But I often, when I'm struggling to figure out where I saved my copy, it's a lot easier to find the USGS copy.
Thank you.
I have a Cayuga Lake Watershed map on my desk if anybody wants to see it after the meeting, but it's always, I remember years ago when I first saw it, it's, to think about how all the water, the streams, the lakes affect our ability to use the area safely and enjoy it, and also eventually our drinking water comes from all of those things. So everything's connected. So thank you for keeping up on this.
Okay, so packet page 24, I believe?
Yes.
Is 87.47 natural infrastructure, and that too is Katie, the planning department's project. If you want to kind of give an update on that, Katie?
Yeah, sure. So this was started in 2017 as a way of looking at our natural resources as natural infrastructure, as ways of, protecting upland forests to reduce erosion and flooding downstream, for example, and trying to protect our natural resources to help us address a changing climate and some of the hazards associated with the changing climate. Thus far, including the ones that the legislature just approved in July, we have 14 projects that the new numbers are, it will, when we finalize those new projects, protect just over 1,500 acres of land with a total investment of $444,000 by the county. And I don't have the figure, but it leverages quite a bit of other nonprofit and private contributions as well for land protection. And the focus is really on helping with the hazards of climate change, as well as we also did a corridor study for habitat migration, and we are also trying to protect those corridors for critters and plants to be able to slowly move over time as climate change changes their needs as well.
Any questions? Probably not, because we talk about this program frequently here at this committee.
Yeah.
If I could, Annie, so from a budget perspective, though, we have talked to the department, and on our debt service schedule, we may reduce the 2024 allocation for this program because there are some funds that are sitting, there's plenty of funds for them to move the project forward without us having to put in an additional full $200,000 into the program. So we have worked with the department, we have talked to the department about that, and just kind of giving you a heads up that you may see on the debt service schedule that might be reduced slightly, but it isn't going to reduce the ability for the project to move forward.
And that would be, at least for right now, just for 2024.
It's not
And
a long,
we're
we're looking at not taking it fully, not completely taking that funding out, but reducing it so that it continues to build, but it won't be building at the same rate.
So would the reduction be just for 1 year, or are you looking at reducing it overall? Or not sure yet?
Not sure entirely, but it's not going to be, it will not be a long-term change.
Okay.
We're looking at, in the near future, maybe next couple of years, having a smaller amount and then continuing that to build
Right,
later.
because they have a good amount of funds in the program right now. Okay. Anything else on that? That's the last one. It's the last par form.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie and Joan.
Thank you.
Joan, is there anything else you want to add to your comments so far?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything else on par forms? Anything else from administration?
No, I think that was our update for today.
Oh, I forgot to mention while Leo and Kat were here, but I know the interviews are going to be started soon for the Recycling and Materials Management Director. Okay, and I'm a part of those. Let's see, do we have any committee member reports? Okay, I just have two quick things. So I know I sent out an email regarding the local environmental conference, and Susan said that she signed up for, it's 3 days. Oh, you're going to?
I do, but go ahead. I do want to add something.
Okay. It's 3 days. It's coordinated by our local EMC, Environmental Management Council, so they're hosting the state one this year here in Ithaca. But the first day where they're having all the workshops, so there's one workshop day on, I believe, I want to say that it's at the 20th of September. Yeah, I think it's on a Wednesday, right? And so that date is all virtual conferences. So and that's free, right? So was that free? Or were you
They
not
had
sure?
some suggested rates. So.
Sliding scale. Okay. So I signed up for all 3 days, and the first day is workshops, and I'm going to be moderating one of the panels and virtual workshops, and then the second 2 days are field trips, which are really, I thought, really cool things that you can see different things around the community. So different projects that are going on. Some of them are more leisurely than others, but you can birds. There's a boat tour. You can see Salt Point, Bolton Point, Teganic Falls, the Honeybee Embassy down the street from me. But you're getting a tour of all these places. And you get to meet some of the other environmentalists from around the state. And so if you haven't signed up for it, I checked, I don't know if there's still money if you want to, I was going to go anyway, but the county had funds still left, so I had checked with Amanda, and the deadline was Sunday, but I'm sure I've talked to the organizers, and they're not overwhelmed, so they definitely have, and the virtual part, it's easy to sign people up. And then I talked to one of the main organizers over the weekend, and they have room on a lot of the field trips too. So there was still room last I knew, in our budget for the legislators. But you'd have to check on that. But I thought so I'm going to try and attend 2 of the field trips and then most of the workshops. So any questions on that? And the second thing I wanted to say is I ordered an electric mower. So going from diesel, which is really smelly and really loud, might be delivered tomorrow. I'll let you know how that goes. So I'm getting the kind recommended by Terry Carroll at the planning department, the kind that he has, only a little bit bigger since I have 4 acres to mow. So Randy.
Just want to add, and I'm not sure if I say this correctly, but the Guy Hono, they're having an event all week at Arnott Forest. And Cornell was very helpful in making sure all the insurances and documentation was done. So I want to appreciate Cornell for working with that. And the Cornell Crop Extension agreed to waive all fees for them to use the facility. They're going to be there all week. And they're staying in the cabins and working on their language and cultural things. I just wanted to share that. So.
Great. Susan?
That reminds me, I don't know if people are aware that the Gaiahono signs, street signs, are all around Ithaca.
Oh, right.
That was done under the leadership of Carol Kamen and the Tompkins County Historical Commission. So I was really happy to see those go up. I think Ben Sandberg at the History Center also helped with that.
Right. Anything else? All righty. We're all set. We could have gone over to recycling materials management right now if they had time for a tour. But I'll schedule that and work on scheduling that. Okay. So does anybody want to move to adjourn? We don't need to, but let's do that. Okay. All in favor? All right. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you, Annie.
You'll be back there.